Hi, this is going to be a variation of what I normally blog or vlog about. I have been watching some videos. I've never followed anyone's channel, and I've never watched very many YouTube videos. As a single mom of 5, I don't have time for those kind of things. But I have been really kind of disgusted with what's been on Netflix recently. I would just listen to it as I work, and kind of takes my mind off of things. As I get things done. And so I somehow, I don't know how, stumbled across a cute kid called Nuggetnoggin. And he goes around with his metal detectors and pans for gold and finds relics from the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. And he's got a big following on YouTube. And I don't have to watch it. It's something I don't have to watch. I can listen, and then when he says, "Oh, I found something cool," I can just look and say, "Oh, that's really cool." So as you know, if you watch my videos, I don't sleep very well. And so the other night I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. Sometimes it's due to the parasites that I have. Other times it's migraine or headache or something. So I just don't sleep very well. And as I was laying there, all these ideas came into my mind of what he could do, because as I watch him and he talks about what he's found or whatever, I had all these thoughts of something he could do with the things that he's finding and not using or not taking home, and some of the things he's taking home. So I thought I would make a video. He mentions on his videos about the bugs being really bad when he's down by the river or walking in the woods. And I have a bug spray that I have blogged about on my blog, thesecretisgratitude.com. And it's one that I have made up from essential oils and I've used for years, and it works wonderfully. And because he's in the water all the time, he can use this as an oil in his hair and in his clothes that he's wearing to keep the bugs off. Or when he's finding in the woods, it would work great as a insect repellent. So I thought, oh, I share that with him. But then I thought, there's so many ideas. Like, seriously, there's like 5 pages of ideas. This is what I do when I can't sleep. So then I thought, he's in the water all the time. He metal detects underwater, and he dredges for gold underwater. And so he's got, it looks like a little fungus on his fingernail. And because of the parasites, I did those peroxide soaks and figured out how to clean up the toenail fungus that I had. So I wanted to show him that and link him to that blog on my blog and post on my blog or my YouTube channel. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'll just hurry and make a video for him and give him some ideas. So this is a little bit weird for this channel. I have so many different things on my channel anyway. I figured it wouldn't hurt to put this on there. And you might think some of the ideas I've come up with are cute too. So, you know, when I'm laying there in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, I'm a very creative person and I keep going. So these are some of the ideas of things these are actually all things that have been in my home and ideas that I've come up with that you could link with it, or just to show him what he could do with the Barnwood and stuff that he's finding, and the horseshoes and the nails and things that he's finding. So on his, so this is for anybody, send it to anybody who treasure hunts, goes driving off in the woods and finds a cabin, or has property, old buildings on their property, or old fencing. Even my old fencing is been used for this stuff before. So I'm just going to show these ideas and then talk about some of the ideas that I thought he could use for his a charitable charity, because he's got this YouTube following, and I'm sure he could use some tax write-off, and he's got all of these items that he could use for these crafts, and maybe give the homeless some jobs, or mentally handicapped people are always looking for repetitive jobs that they could do. They're not super hard crafts. And autistic people could actually do some of these things. I know I have an autistic nephew that would be great at making some of these items. And so I just wanted to share these craft items that can be, they're out of nothing. These things are made out of scrap. So all of these things are junk to one person. And people like me buy them for my dad shot a black bear, when we lived in Alaska when I was little. And the thought came to me one time, what would I want for my dad, and what would I want for my mother? My mother was a beauty queen for the USA, and so I wanted her trophy. And so I fixed that up and put it back together and got it electric plated, and I have that trophy. And for my father, I always wanted the bear that he shot. In fact, as a teenager, tween, I guess. It was in my bedroom on the wall because we didn't have another spot for it at the time. We had 8 kids, and so there was not an extra bedroom for that bear anyway. So he did a raffle a few years ago, and I won the bear. So in my basement, I have a Western motif, a cabin-y type of motif. And so these items are made from junk, but they work great in my room. And if I had a cabin, this is the motif I would want if it was a rustic-y kind of cabin. So I'm going to show these ideas and then go into some charities and some things he could make and sell from the items that he's found, because he's got buckets of stuff, it looks like, that he's got that he's not doing anything with. And a lot of the stuff he's actually throwing back. They're not using him. And he says other people who have done some metal detecting just left it sitting there. And some of the stuff are antiques I would actually purchase just to stick in the yard that are kind of cool, like old sewing machines and things that if you're a seamstress, that would be cool. I have an old a Singer sewing machine that's a treadle machine that's actually in working order, but I think having one in the yard just kind of rustic looking would be fun. So it's those kind of things. So this is Princess number 2 out in the desert, or 3, sorry. It's Princess 3 out in the desert at the sand dunes. And I thought this frame was really fun because it's sandy, and out near those dunes, there's a bunch of cabins, early settlers cabins that have this kind of wood on them. And so that's just something that's hanging in my basement. That there's a lot of barnwood, a lot of fencing that he's not usually using, but I wanted to combine the barnwood with a charity for the homeless or something. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. This is also something I have. It's wood burned on there. Bath 5 cents, and that's just an old piece of fencing or barnwood that nobody's using. This, I also have soap that I thought was cute. You have to pay extra for the soap. So those are my laundry room. I have that kind of a motif down there as well. I thought you could use this saying on that barnwood. It says, if you can climb in the saddle, be ready for the ride. I just thought that was kind of fun and westerny little saying. I want to get a saddle stool with an old saddle on it at some point. So he finds a bunch of metal things like this, and I actually have this hanging by I have a wood burning stove and brick down there, and this is hanging on the brick. And old spoons, cast iron spoons, those kind of things are actually hanging on just a piece of leather. It's new leather. That's an old this is Relic. This actually holds the old irons that you'd put on the stove or the fire to heat up to iron your clothes. And this is the pedestal that rests on when it's hot, so you don't burn something. So my mother had a bunch of those irons while we were growing up. In another video, he's at an old mill, and we used to live in New England in Fall River, and there was millions of mills there, and some of my kids were born in that area. And so I have a spool. There's these kind, which he showed in one of his videos that were just sitting around. There was a whole box of them somewhere that he went, and I actually bought one of these. They go on. They're the things that go on the machines at the mills, and there's different kinds. There's 3 different kinds, but this was the kind he specifically showed on the video. So I actually have these for my kids from that area because their history is their grandmother actually worked in a mill. So I thought they call them sweatshops, but she's not that old to work in the mill, but yeah. So anyway, that's a history for some people. So I think there's value to those. This is what I was really wanting to show, because these nails are old square blacksmith nails. You can see, aren't they cool looking? I got this at a yard sale, and it hangs in my laundry room, and I have some political, what is it? Oh my gosh, historical stuff down there, like the Declaration of Independence, the Star-Spangled Banner on parchment, that onion paper stuff. And this is down there. It's kind of dusty, but it's got a few little things hanging off of it like this. But I mean, there's nothing to this. They just actually even have it looks like the lead paint still on it. They just cut it out and put some holes in the back to hang it up. And you could actually even use those hooks. I'll show you on this, to just hammer in hooks. And it probably took somebody 2 minutes on a saw to put this out with the hooks on it, and it just hangs. You can hang hangers off of it too if it's attached really well. It's not attached super well in mine, but if it was attached with a wire or a rope, jute rope or something, then people could actually hang hangers on it and hang up their laundry in there to dry it. It's a cute decorative thing as well. But he's always throwing these nails down like they're junk. But I live in the West at this time. Back east, when I lived in the East, there's a lot of things that people don't think about keeping because they're so common. But in the West, it's such a new, compared to the East history, the history in the West is very new. And so we like those older things that you might think is junk back there. So these could be made super, super easy by the mentally handicapped or autistic people or homeless people, and give them a job, or retired people. I share in here about some retirement people who do charities that I was going to tell you about too. So then I thought this one was super cute, and he finds tons of horseshoes. On one of his videos, he's got like a huge bucket of these horseshoes that he's dug out. And I have horseshoes decorating my downstairs. I didn't bring them up, but they're from my uncle's ranch. It's very, very old, and there's a blacksmith shop on the ranch. And so I have those, and I have a yoke hanging down there decorating because it has family history to me. It's from family and events where my family went. But I thought this was so cute. Deer eyelashes, horseshoes, pennies, shooting stars, dandelions, wishbones, and birthday candles do your job. And I thought if they put this on some old Barnwood and then had a horseshoe, you know, hanging over here, or even parts, because sometimes they'll dig up half a shoe, and he's got buckets and buckets of these half shoes. How many horseshoes can you use, right? So they could actually attach one of those old horseshoes here, and it costs nothing because the barnwood is all over the place. The fencing is all over the place. So they've got the wood. A bucket of paint would last 200 or more signs. Stencil them on, or airbrush them through a stencil or something. And then these ones have the holes. Both of these have the holes cut in the back, but you can also buy these bulk that just tap in. Now this sign I actually just got this week because I want to take out some of the stuff that's in my laundry room and actually just do a little bit more Western down there to get some of the junk out of my other room. I'm kind of trying to clean out stuff, so I'm going to get rid of some of the decorations, and I just was going to put this on the wall because I have some old what are those called? Washboards down there. And so I thought this would be really cute on the wall. I'm going to take down some of the other decorations that have been there for years and just put this up. But I thought that was really super cute. This is actually just a door or something. I don't even think they made this because on the side over here was actually a screw coming out. I don't know what from, but there was actually, you can see where I pulled it off. But how hard is that? Just take that old barnwood, and I mean, you'd have to make sure there's no lead on it, but they're so old that they're just worn looking. And so this is just somebody looks just stenciling on black paint. Most of these are just stenciled on black paint and a whitewash maybe. Some of these have a whitewash. That other one has just kind of a slap of burgundy paint, but it's not even completely on there. And then those little hooks on the back. And then this one I thought was really cute. It's kind of like a yoke. This one is one I got recently because I was going to redo the laundry room and get rid of what's down there and put up just a few more. Ooh, gosh, that's bright. So you can see me, hi! But this has just got some old hooks on it, and it's just an old barnwood, and then they just put a mirror in there. But you could easily just put a picture in there too. They just glue gummed it in. But I kind of thought the mirror was fun. But yeah, and you could put as many hooks, make it as short or as long as you want. But isn't that fun? They didn't stain it or anything. This has been around forever. They just picked it up as is. You can see it's aged. So those are lots of things that they could make for free because they have the nails. They find the hooks, all sorts of hooks, buckles. That would be cute to use buckles on them. So he finds all those kind of things on his hunt. So this is for anybody you know that does any kind of panning for gold or metal detecting or just exploring. I mean, I found all sorts of old bent up coffee cans and coffee pots and broken horseshoes and stuff all over the place. If that's something you like to do, my dad does like to explore and took us all the time. So that was really fun. So I was going to tell him to check out my video on the bug spray, to the if your hands are wet all the time and you have fungus on your nails or your toenails, check out how we cured that. Also, if it's on your hands, you can put the stuff on them that gets rid of it at night, and then wear rubber gloves. I've done that in the past to keep that medicine on there and from rubbing off on your blankets and stuff. So if it's you get yeast or fungal rashes or whatever because your hands are wet all the time, as a nurse, I would wash them 400 times a night and my hands would get all rashed. So I would put fungal cream and then A&D ointment and then put my hands in rubber gloves and sleep with rubber gloves and they would be very soft and feeling much better in the morning. So I wanted to share that. But I wanted to share ideas about what you can do for charities and those kind of things. If he's digging up these nails all the time and they throw them to the side, and once he screens them, they'll shovel these things into these screens, and so and sift out the rocks and stuff to find coins and things. But the nails are in there, and once they've already got them in there and they're long and they're straight, they can actually be used for one of those things. And so if you're throwing it away, I would personally buy those nails for $1. I mean, a couple of pennies each for crafting. And so I think you could sell them by the bag, and I'm sure with people online, they would buy them for, you can sell those and they could use them for crafts. So by throwing them on the ground once they're in your hand, you're actually wasting effort. And I would just say collect those and sell them by the bag for crafters if you don't want to use them for these other ideas that I have. So you could be a big brother and take a kid with you to, if the parent's okay with that, to collect the nails, and then they can earn an income if they sell them. I'm sure there's plenty of craft sites in the West US that would love to have those and pay well for them, and you could actually sell them on I saw you selling stickers for your detectors things. You could, sell those for on your site. And then by taking a kid, he's getting some income if you help him, and you're still going and doing your thing anyway, but then he's learning something, and also he's got a good role model. This Nuggetnoggin is Christian, and he puts a scripture on all of his videos, and he's really a good kid. You can tell he picks up all the trash that he finds, and good for the environment and things like that. So he knows his history about the wars and stuff. So it's kind of cool that way. So and then I thought, if those nails are not something you're going to use, you could, or, that you don't want to sell, you could take them to children's hospitals by bending them. So here's the top of the nail, and it's just bent like that. So you get two nails, and you weld them in the center, so the heads are up here, and then I'm sure a blacksmith would help out. So basically it's like the nails are making a heart, and you weld them in the middle, and then you can stick them with a ribbon or something and give them to kids in a children's hospital or cancer children, and you can tell them where you found it. Or I thought it'd be really cool if there was a tag that said this was found at a revolutionary whatever, or this was found by Nuggetnoggin, or whatever your name is, if you do that kind of a thing, donated, found, and then the state and a signature or something, or maybe with a signed picture of the person who found it and donated to the children's hospital, and actually go around and actually give it to them, because those kids are just loving visits. Any kind of role model, any kind of trinket that they get when they're in the hospital, they hold on to. I was cut my finger off when I was little, and I had a lot of surgeries, and I got a few things that in the hospital from people, and I treasure those. In fact, today I still have a few things that were given to me in the hospital when I was little, because it meant so much when you're stressed in that way. So either that, or the blacksmiths can make nails out of those. I meant to show when I've got several of them where they just make it into a ring. And so the blacksmiths can make those into a ring. I'm guessing if they're rusty, it's probably not good for them to put it on their hand, because they wouldn't want to scratch their hand. But anyway, and I thought a cute little saying on there, something like, you could make it into a heart, saying something like, these nails have survived over 100 years in the dirt because no one saw value in them, but now they represent love and found a purpose, or something like that, and then just sign them and take them to the hospital or something. you can get national, and he finds a lot of bottle dumps, like trash dumps, but the bottles are mostly what's there, and a lot of them are complete. So I thought, even if a kid collected the bottles, if you had a friend that came and collected them, or you could get National Honor Society to clean them up, just so that they're cleaned up and they're not in the environment, and then sell them with a marble and a key or a nail or something in them on the web, and donate the money to charity. Good tax write-off. It's also cleaning up the environment. The National Honor Society, Scout groups, Hobie groups, 4-H groups, church groups, they all need service hours. And so they could have different bins of plastic recycling, metal recycling, glass recycling if they're broken. And then there's colored glass. At a lot of these sites, the old cobalt blue bottles or green bottles, medicine bottles, those can actually be, I think, used by, I don't know if glass blowers can use them, but I think people who do stained glass windows sometimes are looking for those older glasses that they can melt into the window. So you could keep a different box for those, and actually maybe ask sell them to the person or that does stained glass or glass blowing, and see if they would do a piece in trade maybe for charity, so that they can auction it off for charity. And even the lead, I think, maybe from the bullets that you find recycled into the lead window edging on the stained glass windows, maybe. So that would be recycling. So basically everything that's cleaned up at that dump, even if you got an Eagle Scout to possibly do the organization of the cleanup, you know the sites where they are, and you could get a scout to plan it, and you can get all these different groups to come clean up, and they get their hours, and it doesn't cost you anything to do it. But yet any money that's made from the recycling can go to the charity of their choice or your choice, or you can sell the bottles to bulk to an antique store. A lot of people like those old, bottles. There's curd bottles and medicine bottles, and I actually have these are medical cabinets, and I actually used to keep medical bottles in them, and I have a whole collection of antique medical bottles since I'm in the medical field. So people buy those medical, any kind of medical bottles are pretty collectible. So they can be a bottle for like a bin for those older bottles that you might be able to sell at auction or on eBay or something bulk. So that's a way to clean up the environment, and still doesn't cost a penny, but then somebody can collect all the nails and all the metal and recycle that, and the brass or whatever, and still be a charity of your choice, or you could name your own charity and then do these on the side. Then see. So then the homeless, there's 3 different companies that I know that use vets, or like disabled vets, or homeless people. There's the one that does the coats. She does sleeping bag coats, and she uses homeless people to do those. There's several around the nation, and I actually have a friend that does it in Boston, where they taught homeless people to cater. They start out teaching them hygiene and everything. They give them an apartment. They have to pay. They get a salary from working in the catering company, and it trains them. And so this might be something that homeless men could do and make money very easily. Like I said, I used to work with the mentally retarded, and they had a day workshops where they go and they put beads on strings and for necklaces and sell things that they could sell. And I think a lot of them are very capable into doing those kind of wood crafts. If they was, just stenciling, it's just dabbing the paint, or anything like that, maybe. So that's a good way to make some money for nothing, because if the charities pick up the wood, and you can get some old retired men. Oh, there's a charity in West Jordan, Utah, that makes wooden cars for kids in the hospital, and they send them humanitarian to like earthquake victims and stuff, that are made out of old pallets, and their average age is like 80 something. That it's just old retired men that are bored and don't have anything to do, and so they come and they make these cars to donate. So if you can find some retirees that are kind of charitably minded in a church group or something, they could make the shelves, and the special needs can stain them or whitewash them, and then you could get the homeless people to stencil on them or something. I know that takes a lot of work, but there's grants that you can actually apply for that will give you the money to do those things. That group is called Tiny Tim's Toy Factory in West Jordan, Utah. And then, so the catering one in Boston is called, let's see, what is it called? Shoot. Anyway, the empowerment plan is the one for the coats, and the charity catering one is Pine Street Catering, and my friend has been involved with that. So you can get free resources or grants from lots of different places to start charities. Another sign that you can make is one man's trash is another man's treasure, and put some kind of cool finds on there, or a horseshoe or something like that. Old axe heads, you might be able to put them on one and sell them to fire, have somebody put them together if you find a cute pattern or thing, and sell them to firehouses, and I always think you should put a label on the back where you found it, or who you are, and that the money's going to charity or whatever. You've got lots of clock pieces, and anything clock is really collectible if you can find somebody who's kind of artistic and they can put them. I know Abby was in a bunch of videos with you. I don't know if she's still in those videos, but if you can find somebody who's crafty and they can put together, somebody can make a frame out of the barnwood, and then they can put the things in a decoration. So like if you could make a horse out of the parts that you found, or if you could make a barn or a house or something out of those, or a horseshoe out of the funky metals that you find, because I noticed there was lots of buckets of metal so you could do, and then put on the back, this was made out of trash, and those kind of things are really collectible in high-end places in like New York. Anything that's recycled or whatever, there's stores that just buy that kind of stuff. They call it repurposing. So anything old that you're using, they like those for decoration. So I think you could do really well in cabins or anything like that. Like I said, you could partner up with like a lead window, stained glass window person, a blown glass person, carpenter, blacksmith. There's a lot of people that you could partner with to make money for these charities. And so you could also auction off weekends of hunting and say, I'll guarantee that you get a bullet and a penny or something, and take them to a Civil War site and let them dig. And by raffling off your time, you're going to go to those places anyway, and you're not losing anything, but yet you're making money for charity. You could make custom signs for like landowners, things you found at their farm, and have the wood. You can say, look, we'll make the wood off of fences from your farm. We'll frame the stuff, and then we'll put a gold brass placard that says this was found on the site of the Civil War fight, or this time, or this was found at old, Uncle John's cabin site, and the date or something, so that that people will pay a lot if it means something to them, if it's personal. Like I said, the stuff I have in my basement is my dad's bear and my uncle's farm stuff, and so they have meaning because they are familial. So ideas for that kind of a thing. Let's see. My mother was a national beauty queen and kept everything. And when she died, there was so much stuff. It's taken me, I've literally been doing her stuff. She almost died 7 years ago, and she did die 2 years ago. She left my home 2 years ago yesterday, and died 2 weeks from then. So I have still been sorting her stuff for years. And when I watch these videos of these buckets of her metal and stuff, I'm thinking somebody's going to have to sort that someday. How many bullets do you need? How many? I mean, it's fun to see, that you found them, but or that they're finding these things: spoons, knives, forks. There's places that would display those. I went to an old town city thing. What was it called? Like Pioneer Village, and they had all these spoons decorated. And you can make a heart out of them, or any kind of shape out of all these spoons and forks, and then sell it to a place like that, an antique shop or a high-end place in a large city somewhere. Those would be collectibles, and you could donate the money to charity, and that cleans out the collection of stuff that's overwhelming at times, the horseshoes and the forks and the knives and stuff. Keep the collectible stuff that's valuable and donate the rest to charity, because what's going to make you happy? A bunch of junk that somebody's going to have to clean off, thousands of pounds of old metal, or doing something for somebody else. So these are just suggestions. I'm not saying what anybody is doing is wrong, but I know what it's like to have to clean a hoarder. Whatever you collect, you hoard. All of the stuff that my mother had. She collected costumes and dolls and instruments. I have her instruments she traveled the world several times, and getting rid of all of that stuff was so overwhelming, and I'm still going through it. I still have a garage full of crap, and half of my bedroom still have stuff, and it's been 2 years. So the more you can clean out now and just keep those things that people would like to see, that you could display. I mean, it gets old after a while. Oh, look at these 4,000 bullets. You put one thing of bullets on the wall, or one thing of pocket watches, or one thing of pennies or nickels or dimes or whatever, the ones that are of value, and then nobody wants to see anymore. A couple of cannonballs, okay, now we're bored. So maybe donating a little square frame with a bullet in it, or a pocket watch in it, or something that you could sell. I mean, these could be things that are continually made because you keep finding some really cool things. So anyway, anything like that old rusty sewing machine, anything that's, you saw what you made out of the Barnwood, you could do out of the Barnwood. Other people will love it. And then I think it's really cool if on the channel you talk about what you're doing for charity and how you're helping other people, because it gets old. You're finding all these things, but what are you doing with those things, and how are you helping people with those things? I think people like watching those kind of things to see what you're doing with the things. And also, I love it how I'm just talking to him in specific, but how he talks about what the item is. But I think it would be cool if he talked about the time frame and what it was used for and how they used it, more of like a channel where you could have your kids learn about the wars and talk about the wars a little bit more. I have a bunch of skeleton keys that I've collected and have them on a shelf and kind of lined up on a shelf. And I think a locksmith or something like that would love the keys. And so, and then the pennies, I have on my blog talk about In God We Trust is on our pennies. And I think even the current pennies that you find, if you drill a hole in them where you can see the In God We Trust, and then maybe give those to the hospital kids if you didn't want to deal with the nails and sticking those together. Even a current found penny, even the zinc ones, and you drill a hole and leave In God We Trust, and you make a necklace out of it. I post on my blog about how my daughter went to Africa and she took pennies. They like shiny pennies there, but I think the ones you find in the ocean or the water are really cool, and it's unique. And maybe if you talk to the kids about, how it was lost, but then it was found, and you're a Christian, and talk about once was lost and now is found, and then it has value. Even though the item was lost, it still has value. A lost penny that's dirty has the exact same amount of value as a brand new clean penny. And it says In God We Trust on it. So I think if you took those to the hospital and gave them to the kids as a little necklace that they can take with them. The other thought I had is my daughter worked in foster care for years as she's a social worker, and those kids that are in foster, if you don't want to go to the hospital and do it, you can take it and donate them to the foster kids, because they don't have a lot of things that go from place to place to place, and many of them get transferred around. So I think if you could give them to the foster kids with the little sign, what was lost or whatever and found, they hold on to those kind of things, like I did with the things that somebody gave me in the hospital. So anyway, even if you wanted to pay the kid $1 an hour to dig up those nails while you're doing stuff anyway, the kid's there, he's thinking it's cool, he gets to dig in the dirt, gets to take those things and use them, and you can sell them. I mean, it's a value to others, maybe not to you, but they're value, so that you are helping somebody out, as well as cleaning up the environment and giving a kid a fun time. So that's a lot of information. Nobody will probably find this really interesting, except maybe the people who do this metal detecting stuff. I haven't done it, but I just, like I said, it's something that I can listen to that's clean, and I don't have to worry about hearing awful swearing and stuff. And so I just put it on and kind of listen and see what they found, and it's kind of fun. So anyway, check out my blog, check out my YouTube channel for those things I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day.